Hey everyone, and welcome back to another deep dive with us. Today we're going exploring something you might not think too much about usually. We're going to be talking about manganese. Now I know what you're thinking. Manganese. That's not exactly the most exciting element out there. But trust me on this. This deep dive into manganese and the plants that depend on it is going to change how you think about the food we eat. We're going to be using this fascinating scientific paper as our guide, and it's all about how certain plants are able to thrive in soils that don't have much manganese. And get this, our journey is going to take us all the way to the Scottish Mashare, which is this really unique agricultural system.
Yeah, it's quite a unique place, this mixture. You've got these windswept landscapes with sandy soil, and yet it's bursting with life. It supports all sorts of ecosystems, and even get this rare cereal land races, those sort of like heirloom varieties, the ones that have been passed down for generations.
Okay, so we've got these heirloom plants in this wild, rugged landscape. You've already got my attention. But here's where the story gets even more interesting for me. The commercial cereals that you typically find in the supermarket, those often have a really tough time in the mock share. And scientists are starting to think that the key to this whole mystery might just be manganese.
Makes sense when you think about how vital manganese is to plants. It's like a key ingredient for photosynthesis, that process that lets plants use energy from the sun. But it goes even further than that. Manganese also plays a part in enzyme reactions and even helps protect plants against diseases.
So I'm guessing it's not a good thing when plants don't get enough manganese.
Not good at all. It can lead to stunted growth, low yields, and even make them more susceptible to pests. They just don't thrive.
Which leads us right back to the study we were talking about. They basically wanted to see what would happen if they grew both those commercial cereals and the Machera landraces in soil that was low in manganese.
And the results were pretty amazing. The commercial varieties really struggled. They showed signs of delayed development. Their biomass was really low, and they just couldn't produce the same yields. It was a textbook case of manganese deficiency.
But the landraces, that was a whole different story, right?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
completely different. They were practically unfazed by the low manganese levels.
It's wild that they were not only able to survive, but they were actually taking up more manganese from the soil. How is that even possible?
Well, that's the big question, isn't it? Scientists think it could be a number of things working together, like the structure of their roots might play a role. Or maybe it's the way they interact with microbes in the soil. Even something as simple as how much water they lose, what's called transpiration, could be part of the puzzle. It's
Yeah.
like they had this whole set of adaptations that we're only just starting to figure out.
Are we saying then that these landraces might hold the secret to growing food even when the soil isn't ideal?
Exactly. We've got a lot to learn from them. One thing that this study really highlighted was the role of a specific enzyme called phytase.
Phytase. That sounds pretty technical. What exactly is that?
You can think of phytase like a specialized tool. It helps plants break down compounds in the soil and release the manganese that's stuck inside, which makes it available for the plant to absorb.
So it's almost like these landraces have a secret weapon that lets them unlock manganese that other plants just can't get to.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that both the landraces and the commercial varieties, actually boosted their phytase activity when manganese was scarce. They were
Yeah.
both trying to find ways to get their hands on more of it.
Yeah, if you're not getting enough of something, you're going to look harder for it. But I have a feeling there's a bit more to the story here.
There is. Both types of plants ramped up their phytase activity. But it was only with the landraces that this increase was strongly connected to them actually accumulating more manganese. It seems like they have some other mechanisms going on as well that work together with phytase to really optimize their manganese intake. Maybe they have a more efficient way of transporting the manganese once it's been freed up.
Yeah.
Or maybe their root systems are just really good at exploring the soil and finding those manganese hotspots.
It's like they not only have the tool, but they know exactly where and how to use it to get the most out of it. That's really incredible. But what does all of this mean for us? I mean, we're talking about manganese and these ancient plants, but how does this impact the average person listening to this right now?
That's the big question, right? The exciting part is that these findings could completely change the way we grow food in the future, especially with all the challenges we're facing, like climate change
Yeah.
and a growing global population. Imagine a world where we could grow more food in more places and using less resources. That's the kind of potential we're talking about here.
Hold on. Are you saying that these Machare land races and their manganese secrets could be the answer to a more sustainable and abundant food supply? And that's what I call a cliffhanger. We're going to dive into those game-changing implications right after this.
It really is a fascinating idea, isn't it?
Mhm.
We could be on the edge of a real breakthrough in agriculture, all thanks to these seemingly simple plants.
I'm all ears. Let's talk about those game changers. How could these manganese secrets actually help us create a more sustainable and abundant food supply?
Well, just think about it for a second. If we can figure out how to make our crops more efficient at absorbing and using manganese, we could open up a whole lot of land that we thought was unusable for agriculture,
Mhm.
because the manganese levels were too low.
Yeah.
We're talking about areas that are having trouble producing enough food right now,
Yeah.
maybe even places that we've just given up on completely.
So we could actually turn barren lands into fertile fields. That's pretty amazing.
It is. And it's not just about farming more land either. If our crops are better at getting the nutrients they need, we could also rely less on things like fertilizers.
You mean we could cut back on all those chemicals? The ones that often end up polluting our water and harming the environment.
Exactly. Manganese-efficient crops could be a win-win, both for food production and for the environment. And there's another potential benefit that people often don't think about, the nutritional quality of the food itself.
Oh, right. Because manganese is important for human health too, isn't it?
Absolutely. It plays a role in things like bone health and metabolism, and it even helps protect our cells from damage. So if we could grow crops that are better at accumulating manganese, we could be looking at a future where our food is not just more plentiful, but also more nutritious.
So healthier people, A&D, a healthier planet, all thanks to the secrets hidden within these ancient plants. Now that's a story I want to hear more about.
It really is. And it shows how important it is to preserve these land races. They're like living libraries of genetic diversity. Each one holds a unique set of adaptations. That could be the key to solving some of humanity's biggest problems.
But you mentioned earlier that we're losing that diversity. What's happening to these valuable land races?
Well, as traditional farming practices start to fade away, and those modern high-yielding varieties become more common, a lot of land races are getting left behind. They're not being planted as much, and people aren't saving their seeds the way they used to. It's a real worry.
So we're in danger of losing all this genetic potential just when we're starting to understand how valuable it is. That just seems so short-sighted.
It does. But there's still hope. More and more people are realizing how important it is to protect these land races, and there are efforts underway to collect and save their seeds. It's a race against time, for sure, but it's one we can win if we act now.
Okay, so we know we need to protect these land races, but how do we actually learn from them? How do we take their secrets and turn them into solutions for modern agriculture?
It all starts with research, like the study we've been talking about today. Scientists are using some pretty advanced techniques to unlock the genetic code of these land races and pinpoint the exact genes that are responsible for their amazing adaptations.
So we're talking about things like gene editing, right? Where we could take those beneficial genes and insert them into modern crop varieties.
Precisely. But it's not all about genetic engineering. We can also learn a lot from the traditional farming practices that have been used to cultivate these land races for centuries. There's a goldmine of knowledge embedded in those practices about managing the soil, selecting the best seeds, and working with nature instead of against it.
So it's not just about the plants themselves, it's about the entire agricultural ecosystem. That's where this discussion becomes even bigger, doesn't it?
It does. It's about changing the way we think about agriculture, moving away from this idea that it's all about getting the highest yields and embracing a more holistic approach, one that values things like diversity, resilience, and the long-term health of our planet.
That's a big change. But when you consider the potential benefits, it seems like it's worth it.
I completely agree. And it all comes back to this idea of learning from the past, recognizing the wisdom that's embedded in these ancient plants and the traditional farming practices that have helped them survive for generations.
It's humbling, isn't it? We have all this technology and scientific knowledge, and yet these old-fashioned plants are showing us a way to build a more sustainable future.
It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the answers we're looking for are right there in front of us, just waiting to be rediscovered.
Speaking of discoveries, what really stood out to you about this research? What's the key message you want listeners to take away from this?
For me, it's the reminder that even the simplest things,
Yeah.
like manganese, can hold the key to solving some of our biggest problems. It's about looking beyond the obvious, appreciating the complexity and interconnectedness of the natural world, and it's about realizing that we always have more to learn.
There's always more to learn. I like that. And sometimes the most valuable lessons come from the most unexpected places, like a windswept field in the Scottish Isles. Who would have thought that a deep dive into manganese would lead us here? But that's the beauty of these deep dives, isn't it?
It is, and that's what
Mhm.
makes me so excited about what we're doing here. We're not just sharing information. We're sparking curiosity,
Hmm.
encouraging people to ask questions, to dig a little deeper, to see the world in a new way.
And who knows what other mysteries are out there just waiting to be discovered? What other secrets do these land races hold? What else can we learn from them? I think those are great questions to leave our listeners with.
Yeah, it really is incredible to think about all the possibilities, right?
Yeah.
We started with just one element, manganese, and we ended up on this wild journey exploring the hidden potential of these ancient plants and what they could mean for the future. And this is just scratching the surface, really. If landraces can make it in low manganese environments, what other crazy adaptations might they have developed over all this time? I mean, think about it. They've had to deal with droughts, pests, diseases, crazy weather, you name it. They're like the ultimate survivors.
It's like they have this secret arsenal of weapons that we don't even know about yet. And to think we almost lost all this amazing genetic diversity before we even realized what we had, it's a good thing there are people out there trying to save these land races, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely. Seed banks and conservation efforts are so important. But we also have to remember that these plants aren't meant to just sit in a vault somewhere. They need to be grown out in the real world where they can adapt and thrive.
So it's not enough to just collect the seeds. We have to keep those land races alive, keep growing them, and keep learning from them. But how do we do that in a world where modern agriculture is king?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? We have to find ways to bring these land races back into our farming systems, to connect the old ways with the new.
Ooh.
Maybe we could encourage smaller farms to grow land races alongside their modern varieties. Or maybe we could take those super valuable genes and put them into new crops that can handle climate change. There are so many options to explore.
It sounds like we're talking about a completely new way of thinking about agriculture, moving away from this idea that one size fits all and towards a system that's more diverse, resilient, and focused on local needs. And these land races could be the key to making that happen.
It really could. And it goes beyond just the science and technology, too. It's about shifting our whole mindset, reconnecting with the wisdom of our ancestors, and understanding that we're not separate from nature, but a part of it.
It's about respecting the delicate balance of life and realizing that every single element, every plant, every living thing has a role to play. And when we mess with that balance, there are going to be consequences.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why this whole conversation about manganese and landraces is so important.
Huh.
It's not just some scientific curiosity. It's a wake-up call that our choices matter and that we need to do everything we can to protect the incredible diversity of life on this planet.
It's about making decisions that will create a healthy and abundant future, not just for us, but for the generations that come after us. And you know what? Sometimes those decisions can start with something as simple as asking a question. Why can some plants thrive where others just can't seem to make it?
That's the power of curiosity, isn't it? It can take us on unexpected adventures, open our minds to new possibilities, and inspire us to make a difference.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we'll leave you with one final thought. What can you do to help protect the amazing diversity of life on Earth? What choices, big or small, can you make in your own life to create a more sustainable and abundant future? We hope you'll take some time to think about these questions and keep exploring the world with curiosity and a thirst for knowledge. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the world of manganese and land races. Until next time.